for a small period of time in my life. And when she said, "Hey, Kenny," I was like, "Is this Angie's mom?" And she was like, "Yes, it is." I've tried to reach out to them, like, and it had been well over 5 years before I had tried to reach out, but numerous times after that have I tried to reach out, and they're like, "Kyndal, it'll be bad if you ever come near our house again. Like, we don't want to have anything to do with you." With you. Um, they were like, "Kyndal, we're so proud of you. Like, you should come over and say hey." And I'm like nervous, like, should I actually go over there? Maybe they'll kill me or something. You know what I'm like? I'm thinking like that. I'm literally like thinking that, but something in my head was like, go over there. One of the best conversations. They had apologized for even getting involved in manufacturing because they realized what a bad path that they had led a bunch of people down. They were at the point that they were taking it to military bases and selling it to the military. Like they were making it for the military. Um, yeah. Whenever I met these people, they were up to like selling it on eBay and everything. They were making like 10 grand a month selling this stuff. It was nuts. Or like a week, dude. They were making so much money selling, but it ruined so many people's lives. So, um, yeah, they were like, we reconnected. I went and hung out over at their house for like an hour and a half. We just had a long conversation with some of the last people that I would have ever expected to like give me a chance after all the years that I have tried to reach back out. But they saw the journey and were like, wow, this dude's really like, wow. So that was really cool that I got that.
We don't talk about K2 enough. And granted, I'll be honest. It's kind of. I mean, I've been sober a long time. There wasn't no K2 around when I was out there drinking and using. So this is kind of one of those foreign, ideas to me. Is this whole K2 thing. And so you talking about it and talking, because I mean, it sounds a lot like H, yet it's illegal and it's sold in gas stations
And
and
you got away with drug tests. That's really why you did it. And it's kind of like Kratom and 7OH right now. And not even talking about how you can abuse over the counter stuff. Like I fell down that rabbit hole too in my teens. I mean, because we could just go, we wouldn't even buy it. We just steal it out of Walgreens and just take it out of the box and just stuff the little cortisone and things.
That's
So we didn't go to your level. We didn't. That's an extreme level. I
I
mean,
used
we
to call the
party with it, but
pharmacies. I used to call the pharmacies to see when they would restock, and I would go and take every box that was restocked if I could find out the date that they were restocking, or I would just go in. I go to New when I got out of rehab in 2012. My mom's like, "Son, I want you to go look in the bottom drawer of your dresser." When I tell you, hundreds and hundreds of empty sleeves of Coricidin and cold and cough. And then that was just that day. And then like over the next every time I'm in my closet going to like grab a new jacket or a pair of pants to put, every pocket was just stuffed with empty stuff because I didn't want to throw it away and get caught. So I just stuffed all these empty
yeah.
pockets with in my like that's how I was really really bad on the core seat and cold and cough. And I knew a lot of people that were bad on it. I was worse than everybody else I knew that was bad on it. That was the sad part. Like it was candy. I was doing 2 boxes before school and 2 boxes after school every day.
I
It
don't
was
know how
just
you functioned or didn't get
I didn't
flagged
start
for it.
off like I
Like
started off like my first time ever even doing it. I did less than a box. And that was crazy. I was so out of my mind and I had to drive my family out to a restaurant. Like they made me drive and I had to pull into a Walmart parking lot on the way and say, I don't feel good, I'm not driving. And knowing in my head if I kept driving I would have killed them all. Because I couldn't see, couldn't think straight, I was gone. And it was a whole thing. It
we
was
called it
bad.
we called it strobing
Strobing.
back then because you're like mine like strut like it was wild, and they abused Dramamine, like everything. And I'm pretty sure cortisone was taken off the shelves for a little short period of time. I think it like literally just came back because of that, and it was like a certain kind, and like I don't even know what kids were even the ones to come up with this, like because it got around. We didn't have the. I mean, we had MySpace. This was before MySpace, so like I don't even know because we were in South Carolina and you're down there from Florida doing it, and we're up here hearing that this was the cool thing to do. You know.
It's
so let's get into the rest of this stuff. So you go to jail. You went to jail, and this is kind of near the end, and it wasn't the only time, I know. But you wind up in jail for the first time as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. For stealing my mom's laptop, I did like a month there. My mom tried to drop the charges. They took it from a felony down to a misdemeanor. I got released on my recognizance that day. And set back to go to court 2 weeks later in a whole nother county. I took my mom's coworker's credit card, went and bought a $2.14 large Dr. Pepper from a Sonic, and got arrested in that county. Did a month. Spent Thanksgiving 2011 in the Duval County Jail. For that, got out, went straight to rehab from getting out of there to a place called Teen Challenge in Jacksonville, Florida. I was at Teen Challenge for a little bit. I ended up leaving after like a month and a half. I got mad and I ended up leaving and had a really really bad 3 days. Really really bad 3 days. Ended up getting drunk with some dudes at the downtown bus station, getting cough medicines, getting high in a library, and some dude puking all over my stuff. It was bad. It was very very bad 3 days. I violated my probation doing that, but I got back into the program before the violation even happened. After the weekend, my mom ended up bringing me back because my mom wouldn't let me in the house. Like she was like, "Son, like if you're coming over, if you're not going back to rehab, you're sleeping in the backyard. Like we're not even letting you in the house." So I ended up agreeing to go back to rehab. Stayed in there for quite a few months, and then one day I ended up almost got in a fight with somebody. So I walked off the job site and I started heading back to the facility. Halfway on my way back to the facility, a car honks at me. It's in a parking lot across the road. It was people from the facility. They had packed up all of my stuff and they dropped it in the parking lot and took off. It was kind of nuts. They did me dirty with that one. I ain't gonna lie. How they left me hanging there, that was bad. It was really bad. Jacksonville was not a good area. It's still not a good area. Um, but from there it was just kind of the cycle in and out. Went back to county jail for the other one and just probation, violating probation. Went to oh yeah, I went to the rehab. Da da da. More and more. 2013. This is where I do a year in the county jail because I every time I got out, I had jobs. I was always a really good worker, but the drugs always mess everything up. So 2012, I ended up getting this job. Meeting up with these people, getting started, hooked on acid. I'd started doing a lot of acid at this point. LSD, hallucinating was my thing. I was more of a hallucinator. I loved to be out of my mind. Anything that wasn't real, and I was very good at like differentiating the real versus because I would drive like we have a bridge in Jacksonville, Florida called the Buckman Bridge, and like I used to be kind of the street racer guy that had a fuzz buster in the car, so I'd always drive like 120. I used to be tripping driving 120, watching the lines do this in the middle of the road and just perfectly going straight. Like I loved it. That was I wilded out. Like I was that person. Like it was really really weird the kind of control I had being so out of my mind in the way that I was. That it was almost one of those things. It was almost like an ego thing. Like I'm meant to be doing this type of stuff. Like that's kind of how I felt for a lot of time. One, I used to go to work on it. I was working construction at one point, and I remember I took a whole bunch of acid right before I went to work one day, and he was like, "Hey man, I need you to." There was a giant bundle of rebar, like a bunch of rebar in this big thing. He's like, I need you to grind through these. And I remember just putting on my music, going to town, and I grinded that rebar so perfectly, so fast. He came back and he's like, "Dude, you're already done." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can go home for the day, bro. Paid for a full day." I'm like, "No way, I did that." Like, that's how I felt. I felt invincible. Um, so
And this is what this is the way drugs and alcohol lie to us. It tells us that we're better drivers. It tells us that we're better
That's
workers.
what
It
I was
tells us
gonna
we're
say.
better this. This is it. This is the I mean this what you're telling us right now. Granted, I just got, kind of my mind blown for a second and a half because you said you were doing 120 miles an hour on acid and you were
that
like,
was
"Oh,
the usual.
that's a fuzzbuster. I'm good. Don't worry about it." But I was a better no. Nobody's a better driver when they're on acid. I'm just gonna put that out there. Everybody in the world, kids, You're not a better driver when you're on acid.
No, because
Okay.
that's what the drug does to you.
But
It
that's
makes
what
you
it does.
think.
It
Yeah,
lies. It
yeah.
lies to us. It makes us think that we're doing good when we're doing bad. All right, I'm homeless. What do you mean? I'm fine. I got couches. I got buddies' couches to sleep on. No, that means you're homeless. And I
I
don't have a job. I don't need a job. I'm fine. No, you're unemployed. You know, these are the realities. But the drugs and alcohol tell us different.
I think you should fast forward to your like last arrest to
Fast
the
forward to
when
the
you
last
get
rush.
at
Well, well,
the
two,
post office.
well, 2013. This is when I was doing the year in the county jail for pawning some stolen stuff. Um, in 2013 was where this journey was inspired. That's where I read the newspaper article titled "America on Foot" about a guy named Harrison Melanian, who had walked from Tallahassee, Florida, to Laguna Beach, California. I fell in love with the story, knew I wanted to walk across America. Got in touch with him on Facebook in 2014 when I got out. Got a little bit of advice from him, tried to put together a walk to take off for two totally different causes to take off January 1st, 2015. Later in 2014, the girl I was dating at the time, me and her ended up getting roofied by this truck driver. A bunch of bad stuff happened. I went outside and got jumped by like six people that I was starting problems with. And I went to jail hogtied in the back of a cop car that night. That girl was held hostage by some crack dealers. It was a very bad situation. Um, those people ended up getting charged for what had happened to her later on. It was one of those situations. It was really bad. I got out of jail on probation that was going to keep me from taking off January 1st, 2015 to walk off for these different causes. Instead of doing everything I needed to do to finish my probation early, January 1st, 2015, I'm homeless and sleeping right next to my ex girlfriend's house because she had left me that day for the plug next to her grandma's house in the woods. It starts raining on me. I go to this post office that's like connected to a salon shop. It's one building, salon shop and a post office. And her grandma had owned the salon shop. I didn't have the key to the salon shop that day. Um, Ended up going in there and getting inside of the main room where they put everybody's mail and the ladies that work there stand and all that. And first thing I saw a check that somebody had slid through the thing, and then I was like, I know a gas station that'll cash that for me. And then I look over and I see the backs of all the mail where they put people's mail. So I go over and I grab a piece of mail, and it just happened to be a Christmas card. And I opened it up, and there was money in it. So I'm like, dang, I'm just gonna take everybody's mail. So, and you know what? And I say that I wiped out every single bin. There was a bunch of bins. I can't say that I sit there and wiped out every single one, but I wiped out a lot of those bins. And I even came across one package that like, and I heard it when I shook it, so I opened it up, and it was a bunch of pills. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I've done pills, but pills weren't my thing. I wasn't a big fan of pills. But this was something that was like called clozapam or something like that, like a smaller milligram of Xanax or something like that. And I remember I had tried taking a few, didn't really feel anything, and I called. But well, before I even took them, I called somebody like, "Hey, bro," I was like, "How much do these things go for?" He's like, "Blah blah blah." I was like, "Bro, I need you to come pick me up, bro. We could hit. I hit a lick, whatever." He drives to the post office. We put everything in his trunk. We dip. I got away with it that day. I came back the very next day and broke into the post office again. Got into the safe and everything like that. And that's when somebody had came into the lobby. I didn't hear him come into the lobby. I did hear the key go into the mailbox, and I knew that they had heard me talking in there. Um, he was with me in the post office this day. He ended up getting away. He never even got tried. He never did time for this. He got away, but as he runs, he has the money and he has the bin with all the stuff. I'm behind just kind of doing a cleanup because I had dropped some stuff. And by the time I make it outside, I see just lights coming from every direction. Like the whole sky was red and blue. And but in the process of that, there's bits and pieces I don't remember that my police report kind of told me and that they told me what had happened. Inside my pocket when they patted me down, they found an old can opener, and they said I popped open every little lockbox inside the safe with an old school can opener that I found in the post office. They said that the money from the safe that they apparently they had me in the cop car at the post office for hours and hours because I kept telling them different places that I had went and put the money from the safe. They said like I hid it behind a tree, that I took it to my ex's house. And then I threw it in the pond. They get like all these different accounts of what I had done. I was walking behind a tree though, and I guess they were coming up towards the tree to the building. I kind of like, it was a big tree, and I tried to circle one side, and obviously that didn't work, and they got me. Um, and I said this about 100 times yesterday in my speaking engagement about how God has been prevalent in my life. I was like, God's been prevalent in my life. God's been prevalent in my life. God has been prevalent in my life over and over and over and over again. For one, just the fact that I've been hit by a car, dragged by a car, and had an ATV laying on top of me, and I haven't broken a bone since I was like 7 years old. I broke my nose, my collarbone when I was 3, and my nose when I was 7. I've never broken a bone since. I've been through all these different things. I've had 6 guns pointed to my head, like all these different things, like over and over and over. I should not be here, but I am here, and God is present in my life. One of these things is I broke into and had hundreds of pieces of open mail from a federal post office, and I never got charged federally. But the FBI, the Secret Service, the postal agents, and everybody came to arrest me. I never got charged federally. I got charged with a burglary of a structure conveyance, and I caught 18 months in prison with 2 years to go inpatient rehab after that. Got in trouble for smoking K2 in prison. Went to confinement for 50 days, only did 20 something days in confinement. Went from adult camp to youth offender. Usually that's backwards. To go to a boot camp program where I did 120 successful days and I got out of prison early. Not released to a rehab facility, released straight to the streets. The rehab facility was amended, and I got to go straight to the streets on probation. So I got out of prison. So I rob a post office, get all this mail, people's prescription pills, all this stuff. I do less time than I'm supposed to. I don't have to go to rehab, and I get released straight to the streets instead.
God
God was
definitely had a
prevalent.
plan for you.
God
Yeah,
has a
and
plan
you're
because that
not a
doesn't happen.
smart. You're not a smart criminal. You're really not.
Not in that case. Not that one. Not in
I'm
that
really
one.
glad.
No.
This is all I'm hearing is this is the song "No More Mr. Nice Guy."
No more. I'm telling you, boy, that stuff messed me up. Um, for real. So, no,
I think that's
but
gonna that's
Took
gonna
me a
be
second to get
that's
that.
gonna be the title of this podcast. No more Mr. Nice Guy. forget the Kyndal's Guinness Book World Record walking across America. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Leave the
at
nice guy
all,
at the.
I like that. That's a good title. That's a good title. But yeah, just God was prevalent in my life. So I get out of prison. I violate probation 3 times in the next year. The third violation, I got a bond on a VOP. Never seen that happen before, too. That doesn't happen. If you violate probation, you do not get a bond. It's automatic, no bond every time. I'm the only person I know to this day that's ever had a bond on a VOP. $500 5 days before Christmas, the only time my parents ever paid a bond. Um, got out, go to court. My third court date, we go in front of sit in the courtroom. My defender brings me to the back a couple different times, and the first time he's like, bro, you've been violating. You ain't been calling me the way you're supposed to call me. They just want to send you back to prison. I'm like, man, don't send me back to prison. I can't go back to prison, dude. He was like, why didn't you go to rehab? And I told him about the boot camp program and the amended sentence that happened in there. He's like, would you be willing to go to that program? I was like, do I have to sit in county jail to wait for the bed? Because it was like an 8-9 month wait for this program. He was like, no, you're out on bond. I was like, sign me up. And he's like, okay, cool. He's like, that's what we're going to go for. We go in front of the judge a few minutes later. Whenever they call me up to the podium, the judge asks, both of them, the attorney and my defender, to go to the desk or whatever, approach, and they're talking and they're laughing, and then my public defender comes back with the blue paper, and I'm watching him write on this blue paper, and when it said it was something about fines being a civil matter. Whenever I read the way he wrote that, I automatically knew that I was not going anywhere. That I was free. The judge dropped my probation with a whole year left. I violated 3 times. My judge dropped it with a year left. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to word not months of how long you served. We're going to say how many days that you served so it sounds longer and sounds better. for all the time that I had already served in jail up to that point and everything like that. My judge literally let me off the hook with a whole year probation left after violating 3 times, completely dropped me. I was back in his courtroom 2 months later. 2 months later, man. Um, 2 days before Mother's Day, 2017. This is kind of what it all boils down to in a sense. I was on a bunch of LSD, and that night, one of my co-defendant, he was there. He was my buddy at the time. He was a coke plug, and coke wasn't something I did a lot. That was a rare thing. But that night I was on coke and LSD, and we had a bunch of friends over, and we're just being wild in the garage. We leave in the middle of the night to go walk down to a gas station. We're gone for a while. We come back, and when we're back, my parents had locked the back door to the garage, and there was a window on the side of the garage that you could slide open and get into the garage. So I go to slide open this window, and as I'm crawling through the window back in the garage, I remember my mom like coming out like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Why did you lock us out?" And it was just a bit of an argument. My dad ends up coming out and talking, and I didn't want to hear what he had to say either. And I'm like, blah 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 blah. And it was just this really really big argument. And he was like, "Guys, y'all need to go." And I'm like, "Nah, y'all need to sit down, roll the blunt, like let's ride, like blah blah blah." And my dad at one point like goes to pick up my guitar and said something, and my co-defendant like grabs it, like nobody's hit nobody with a guitar. There was a lot of arguing, and then at another point, my dad went to go pick up the guitar, swinging at me, and missed me, and it hit my mom in the nose and broke her nose. So when my mom's like nose is bleeding, I'm tripping, and just something kicked in, and I just started taking off on my dad, and it just became this whole big thing. Um, to the point where like I caught myself and I stopped fighting him. But my dad kept trying to hit me afterwards. Like I had even like walked into the kitchen, grabbed a 2 liter Mountain Dew, like walked out the front door, back around. The whole time my dad's following me and trying to hit me. And I come back around, I have this 2 liter Mountain Dew in my hand, and he gets in the face with my co-defendant. My co-defendant is like this really big Puerto Rican dude. And he like pushes my dad, who was like just skinny, frail, dude at the time. So my dad kind of goes flying across the garage at the same time that my dad's like flying down. I chunk this 2 liter of Mountain Dew, and I didn't mean for it to do this, but like it hits his head, and his head hits the garage floor. Like it was like done. Um, and I just see his eyes roll in the back of his head. Just like I watched it happen. And like at that time, like I'm tripping, and my mom goes to call the cops. And now, like I'm down there, like Dad, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Blah blah blah. Like giving him mouth to mouth and chest compressions. And like within a few minutes, like he regains his consciousness. His first words were like, "Your buddy's going to jail with you." Those were his first words when he came back. Like, "Your buddy's going to jail with you," and I'm like, "Dang." And at that point, I went to go light a cigarette. I went to go grab a cigarette. Like my hand went to go pull out a cigarette, pulled out like 5 cigarettes and crumpled them all at once. Like I was shaking so bad, it just literally ruined 5 cigarettes trying to grab a cigarette. Finally get a cigarette out, get it lit, and the cops are pulling up within like a minute of my or two of my dad like gaining that consciousness. Um, I ended up going to jail. Like they actually tried to keep me out of going to jail that night. They really did. Everybody, even the cop, spent like an hour and a half on the phone with his lieutenant at my parents' house trying to keep me from going to jail that night. He told me, he's like, "Dude, if this was any other county, we could have kept you out of here." He's like, "Clay County sucks." That's what the cop told me. He's like, "We could have kept you out of this in any other county." He's like, "This county sucks." He's like, "Somebody was hit. Somebody has to go to jail right now." So I went to jail, and in reality, the guitar was swung first. Like it didn't have to be me that went, but I wasn't gonna let my disabled dad, who was on his medications and stuff, have to and that was like part of the thought process. Like even though I was tripping, I was still conscious enough to be able to think of that. You know what I'm saying? I could always still function and stuff. So that happens. End up going to jail, injunction. I get out. I can't go back to the house. While I'm out now, I'm breaking into my mom's storage units, and stealing stuff. And me and 2 other people kick in a drug dealer's store. We get caught up a couple weeks later. This leads me to having an armed burglary and some other felonies. And I ended up catching 5 years in prison, leading up to me changing my life and this journey starting. I got arrested August 9th, 2017. In county jail for a while. I think I shipped to prison from county jail March 18th or something like that, 2020. No, 2019. No. Yeah, 2019. I'm in prison for a while. No, 2018. Because 2000 April 12th, 2019 is when I changed my life. So yeah, 2018 in March, I get shipped to prison. There, a couple different prisons. And I'm just kind of playing with my time. Like I didn't go out of my way. I wasn't looking for trouble or anything like that. You know, I didn't do everything perfect. I was getting tattoos when you weren't supposed to, this, that, and the other. When I got to my main camp, I was working outside the gate for a little bit, and I was bringing in stuff through the gate. Like I had a plan. I was getting paid to do stuff for people, and I was making a little bit of money. Um, but I was one of those people that I would fight anybody. My brother Will, way bigger than me. He's like, Kendall, you're the only person I know that you don't care about getting your butt. Well, you'd go hit the biggest person on the planet just to do it. I didn't care. But at the same time, I wasn't looking to start issues. But if somebody tried me, I stood up for myself. I was not the dude that you could just sit there and bully and pick on. I was going to stand up for myself, and I didn't care how bad it hurt me. Um, so there was different times that I had gotten in fights in prison, and luckily my fights weren't that bad. Like I became friends with everybody I've ever fought for the most part. I've always became friends with almost everybody I fought. It was like duke it out and respecting. That's just kind of how it's been with me. A lot of people can't do that in those types of
Not
situations of
me.
fighting.
Not
I
me.
never really got in trouble doing fighting in prison. Luckily, I never ruined my time, but I was risking ruining my time every time I brought something through the gate. Every time I did this or did that or little things. So it boiled down to um, there was I'd say within a month period, I started working out after my nickname became Bad Bodied Kindle from a dude that slept in the bunk next to me who was like a freaking elite dude. He used to call me Bad Bodied Kindle, and I hated it because I had gained a bunch of weight in prison, and it messed with my head. Um, I hardly ever did drugs in prison, and one thing I've never done on the streets that I did in prison a few times, but not like a bunch, was Suboxone. One day, some dude was trying to give me some Suboxone for free, and we got in an argument about something else. So I just gave him the Suboxone back and never really. And then like, oh, what? A few days later, I'm like, I don't even think I want to do drugs again. And then my dad came and visited me for the first time after that fight. A couple years later in prison, and a week after he came and visited me was the week that I actually made a conscious decision, April 12th, 2019, that hey, I just don't want to be the person that I was before. So technically, my drug-free date would actually be before April 12th, but April 12th was the day that I actually said that's just my life change date. That's the day I became a different person and made a conscious decision to do it, and I stuck with doing things differently.
And that was the
So
day you like stopped like trying to fight people and you wanted to just be better as well, right? Cuz I
absolutely.
can't
So
imagine you like I can't imagine you picking fights. Like you're such a good soul. Like
I
everything
didn't pick the
about you, like
fights.
you don't even like road rage, okay? You are a good guy, and I can't even imagine it. Oh, oh,
I was
Mike, go
wild.
ahead.
It was crazy. I fought the biggest dude on the compound one time over earplugs that you put in for doing yard work. I got in an argument over that with the biggest dude on the compound, and you know what? I hit him first, and then I got my head beat off a metal door 5 times. I got a lot of respect
And
that
then
day.
did you become friends? Did you become
Oh yeah,
friends
me and
after
him were
that?
tight. Me and him were cool.
I,
Like that fight alone kept other people from actually trying me when they wanted. They'll be like, I wouldn't try him, bro. Like he fought Washington. They're like, wait, big Washington? They're like, yeah. They're like, no way, no, he did. Like he got his butt beat, but he did. He fought him. I'm like, it was crazy.
and here's a few words from our sponsor, Never Alone Recovery.
Never Alone Recovery is a resource center for anything addiction or mental health. We are a toll-free number. Feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 855-831-9996. This is available for someone who's suffering, also parents of those who are suffering, colleagues, whoever. Feel free to call at any time. Krista, what else do we have?
We host 5 free Zoom meetings a week, recovery meetings. We host a recovery TikTok live every morning, and you can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and all of it will be in our
It was
description.
crazy.
You know what? This I'm telling you, Kindle, your story is so wild, and you tell it so well with so many details, and and it all has a timeline, and it's all um, coherent. Like you can just see the progression, everything building up in your ism, all the drugs, all the changing drugs, all the schemes, all the different criminal ideas, and how they pop out of nowhere. Oh, hang on, there's a letter here. Let me go rob some post office. It's wild, but we get to talk about this a lot. How we get to live two different lives in one lifetime, and you, my friend, are a great
Like 10.
example of that. Because I mean, I hear your story. I hear all the stuff with your parents. I hear all the stuff with the gangs. I hear all this. I don't like that, Kendall.
I
and
can't imagine. I
I don't
literally
like
can't
that Kindle, but
picture it.
I am very fond of this Kindle, and this is the two lives in one lifetime. And I was you had all these people rooting for you to not be in jail, and I can't help but think of my own situation. I have a son, and if my son decided to come home with a friend who was doing drugs and started to fight with me, there would be not. I wouldn't fight for that kid at all. Get into jail, get into jail, get into jail. And but you, Krista kind of said it, and God has a different plan for you. And had some of the things turned out the way they probably should have, you wouldn't be where you are today, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But God was there, and God was with you. And we talk about that in the program a lot too. God works for us even when we're not working for Him, and it's amazing. And I hear that so much in your story, and I've heard it over and over. Every time I hear you talk, I hear God working for us even when we're not working for Him. And it's pretty damn amazing, dude. And I'm so grateful that you came in today to talk with us, and are sharing everything, because the journey you're on now, so April 12th of 2019 is the day you surrendered, right? And then January 1st, 2022, what happened? And just one last story, because I want to know the starting process and what got you started on this journey that's going to be 12,500 miles before you're done with it.
Yeah. So after April 12th, I made that conscious decision. I worked really, really hard on myself in prison for a couple years, just working out, getting back in my faith, reading my Bible, meditating, doing all this different stuff. Boils down to my last year, I was in a work release program. I was doing telemarketing. I had a full time job. I had an ankle monitor, but I had a cell phone. I had real clothes on again, and I was making a little bit of money, even though the center took most of my check. But I was still able to save up some to get out with. My last couple months, I was talking to this girl. It didn't work out. One day, I'm bummed out. I look at this painting of the seven continents, and I see North America, and I was like, "Dang, I was gonna walk from Florida to California a long time ago." And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, dude, you're in the best shape of your life. You're about to have a little bit of money saved up for the first time in 10 years. You're finally getting out as a changed man and a free man, for the first time in like 10 years. You could go walk across America, but then it's like all these thoughts racing over the next couple of days. Like, well, what would I walk for? What would I do? Where would I go? Da 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 da. Da. And then it's like I've been working out really hard for the last 2 years. I'm a beast right now. I could go further than California. I could probably walk through the mountains of Colorado. I'm like, I'm gonna walk through the mountains of Colorado. I'm gonna go to Washington, and that's kind of how it all kind of boiled into play. I'm gonna go to Washington. Like, now what? Now if I'm walking, what would I walk for? And like I had noticed real heavy, and the fact that I had noticed, and maybe it wasn't every individual day, but it's what felt like every day. I was seeing another post of a loss of life to an OD, unaliving, things like that. So in the process of that, I'm like, dang, I'm like about 30 months drug free when I'm thinking about this. Like, changing my life. Like, I could pick mental health and recovery as somebody who has tried to take their life twice, who has OD'd, and then with the extensive record that I have. Um, like that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I tell everybody that's what I'm gonna walk for. And then I'm like, well, what can I do to actually for it to stand out? And that's when I decided a remembrance shirt with names. I had a bunch of people. I said, guys, I want to walk in remembrance of our loved ones no longer with us. If anybody has any names that would like to submit, and a bunch of people started submitting names, so I'm like, well, I don't want to have too many names I can't put on the shirt and not be able to do it. I'm like, so, all right, guys, we're just taking 180 names. I picked 180 because 180 is going to stand for taking a 180-degree turn in the opposite direction from those things that are taking the people that we love and care about. And that is a 180-degree turn I take in my own personal life. It's not just something I talk about that sounds good, this, that, and the other. I come from experience of this 180-degree turn from depression, from addiction, from a life of crime and just criminal activity and ruining my life, not caring about others. Um, and I'm thankful to something to be a positive person, making a positive impact, lifting others up that even put me down. There's people that put me down and I can still lift them up instead of being like, "What's up, bro? I'll kick in your door. You want to go?" Like, and it's crazy because sometimes people talk to me some type of way, and I'm like, boy, if you would have talked to me like that 7 years ago, you probably would have never talked to me like that again. But I'm like, bang, I'm so glad I'm a different, changed person. I can be like, however you feel about me, whatever you're going through, I hope it gets better. You matter, dude. Like that's a whole 180-degree turn from the dude that if you're like, pull up, what's your address? Here's my address. I'm standing outside waiting for you right now. I will stand out here for however long it takes you to get here. That was me. Like I was ready to get my butt whooped most of the time too. I wasn't a good fighter. I'm not gonna hear it here now. Like, yeah, I was ready. I'm MMA, but I'll beat anybody. Nah, I was ready to get my butt whooped at any given time. But I make these life changes, and so yeah, that's what I do. So I buy a laptop from a dude at my work, and I look at GPS. I walked across America with a little mouse for like months, and kind of figured it all out. Which even no matter how much detail or planning I did, all the supplies I left with and everything, nothing can prepare you for this type of journey till you're actually on it. Everything switched. The supplies, what I brought from the very first day, everything I brought. I'm like, after the first day, I'm like, I'm not bringing all this. I got to switch this up already. Like, there's been so many different factors, but I planned it all out. I got out I'm sorry, I got out of prison November 6th, 2021. Did a little bit of walking around Jacksonville, some extensive like from my mom's house to Jacksonville, it was like 36 miles. I walked that, or 34 miles. I walked that one of those days, completely screwed my feet, blistered them so bad, which was a good thing to do right before I actually started. Um, but at January 1st, 2022, I went to the Atlantic Ocean, put my feet in the water. I turned around and started this journey where I walked 3,292 miles, 13 states coast to coast to Long Beach, Washington. From there, I took a month off, realized I was literally unfulfilled with living my dream of walking across the country, even though I had completed it. So I went back to Long Beach, Washington, decided I was going to walk some more, pick some more points on the coast of Washington. I walked to La Push, Washington, to Cape Alava, Washington, and then to Cape Flattery, Washington, the most northwestern point of the lower 48 states. Turned it around, walked the entire west coast down to the southwestern point of California, Borderfield State Park in San Diego. It's more than just a walk. I keep it continuous. I don't break up my routes. From there, I walked through the Mojave Desert to 7 miles back to Imperial Beach, where I started, Pacific back to Atlantic. From Imperial Beach to like 29 Palms, Joshua Tree, through the desert, Mojave, to Las Vegas, the Grand Canyon, the Forrest Gump Point in Monument Valley, Utah, the Four Corners Monument, all the way back to Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And then from there, I went back across Florida to Cedar Key, down to Naples on the Gulf Coast side, through the Everglades, down to Key West. I basically did the whole perimeter around Florida almost. Down to Key West, and now I am currently right now in Wilmington, North Carolina, with I did the math today, less than 1,300 miles left on a 12,000 plus mile journey. I am so freaking close. This is absolutely nuts. It doesn't even feel, I'm going to cry a lot this next couple months. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you.
It's like a grieving process because it's like coming to not an end, but this is the
It's a
final
big
stages
finish.
of this first big journey that you've ever planned. I'm sure your cart, like certain, you just got a brand new cart, and but it's kind of cool because it's like one of those the dog carts that you put on the back of your bike that you've made into like a push cart. I got to
Yeah.
push it. It's heavy. It's heavy, and you have it like rigged to the coolest stuff. It's weatherproof. It's got a tent. It's got all types.
So I now,
Absolutely. And
I,
so you know what I want to ask about your shirts because you talked about your shirt. You know, you have 180 names on a shirt that And tell me why are these names significant? And also, I know you have more than one shirt now and a flag. So why are these names significant?
Well, first off, it's they say that you die twice. The first time is when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is the last time that somebody mentions your name. Losing somebody is already hard enough. We never want anybody to be forgotten. We never want that the second time, you know. Um, with that being said, the significance is some of these people I personally know. All of these names specifically are from people that follow my Facebook specifically that have submitted these names of their loved ones. So like people get to be a part of this journey even though they're not walking by submitting names of their loved ones and allowing me to walk in remembrance of them. Um, it's and for each one of those to be due to mental health and or recovery. Like if you look at these shirts, if you look at the banner, it's a lot of names to look at. 180 like on a shirt, that's a lot of names on a shirt. But to think the statistics of how many people are really dying yearly, this is a tiny, 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 tiny fraction of names that I have of people that we've lost to these causes just in the last year, let alone the last 5 7 years since the F word has hit, the streets, and that just kind of took over everything. And in the height of the pandemic, both of those things hit like together. It was like it's like the Hydron Collider or whatever that they have underground over cross seas. It's like they're trying to split atoms. It's like they split population control by hitting these two things together, the freaking pandemic and the fentanyl. Put those two, and it was like bam, it was like the Hydra Collider just opened up the dark hole that they were looking up to open up. It was almost like that. Never thought of it like that way, but I think that's an excellent example of those two things hitting at the same time and just ruining everything. And never to glorify using when I did, I never had to worry about that. I never had to have Narcan around. I never had to have people. It was I had to worry about walking down the road looking like an idiot and the cop pulling me over, searching my pockets and taking me to jail, or I had to get worried breaking into a house, which I was doing that whether I was high or not. But yeah,
Well, you escaped death quite a lot of times, so you challenged it, really. I feel
pretty
like.
much every day on the side of
Okay.
this road.
So
I know that now.
how many shirts do you have now?
Yes. I want to say I have 180 names to finish right now, the 26th edition. I got to do an update on my post, but I have 25 editions complete, sadly enough. That's over 4,500 names that I am personally hand typed walking in remembrance of. Now, whether they're on the shirts or the banners or not, it's still just a general thing that we're walking in remembrance of our loved ones, but we do have a lot of them handwritten down and stuff.
So over
26 editions.
4,000 names. Oh, you're walking 12,000 miles in 4 years with 4,000 names of people who've passed away from mental health or overdose. And Kyndal, I'm so glad to say that you are my friend. And I'm so glad to know this Kyndal and not the other Kyndal. And you are an amazing person. And dude, and I know it don't mean much, but I'm so proud of you. And I know that there's a lot of people that are
Thank you.
proud of you, that are rooting for you. And anybody who wants to follow Kindle, we're gonna have all the links for all Kindle stuff in the comment section. We're gonna have all the different places that you can donate to Kindle to help him complete his walk and start his next journey. The next journey going to be walking on all the different continents. I'm telling you, he's going to be walking across Asia before we know it, Krista. This is going to be awesome. So, this has been so tremendous, dude. You are an amazing, amazing person. And like I
Y'all
said,
are.
I'm glad to know. Krista, you got anything for
He's
Kindle?
like my best friend because I stalked and found
BFFs.
him walking my town for. I spent 3 days near him in my
3 days in
town.
a row.
Okay, and Charleston, but I just I've heard your story before, but it's so relatable because I think we have a lot in common. And our moms really did try their best, and they didn't know how to help us, and how Johnny said that the cops everyone kind of tried to keep you out of like going back, and the cops told my mom many times, don't give up on her, don't give up on her, you know. And she didn't. I wasn't enabled a lot, but your mom was like the opposite and like didn't want to enable you. It's wild how our moms just tried their best. And I'm really grateful to know you, and to you inspire me, and I love being able to catch you live all the time. Whenever, like usually all day, every day you're live, you can find Kyndal. And I'm just really thankful
Somewhere
and grateful that we have you in our corner. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I really can't.
making
I
impacts
love you,
all
my
day, every
brother.
day. I love y'all
I
too. I
love you,
love
my
y'all
brother.
too. And we're over
And you matter.
$4,100 on the fundraiser now. We're over
Dude, is
4,100 on the Never Alone Recovery fundraiser. So it's slowly moving, but we're moving up. We're still moving up. So, and I don't know. Can I say it on here? Can I just go ahead and bring that up? Or
absolutely.
is this part is gonna be um in the process, guys? I, as I'm walking across America, am fundraising for Never Alone Recovery. And if you're following my journey, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. The links are in the bios. It is a minimum of a $3 to donate. That's all we ask anybody to donate, just one time in your life, the minimum of $3. What we are hoping is that just 1/3 of one of my followings would be willing to do that. Because if just 1/3 of one of my followings did that, we could exceed the goal itself, $50,000, tremendously. I don't receive a penny of that. This is to help people that don't have insurance and or struggle a little bit more financially, that need to be able to get into rehab facilities, that struggle with mental health and recovery issues, because nobody's alone and we don't want anybody to feel alone, even the ones that struggle financially and have a bit hard times getting into some situations. So go check that out, please and thank you.
Thanks to Kindle, today we got someone a ride to rehab today, and I don't we haven't had a chance to talk about that one this morning. It was an Uber ride that 50 miles, and you should have picked him up and put him on your cart. But no, it was an Uber ride, and the donations that are brought to this is what pays for that. So, Kindle, thank you very much, my brother. Godspeed. Thank you, everyone, for listening and for this has been so tremendous, and I just can't thank you enough, dude. So
Absolutely.
we'll see you
Thank
next
y'all.
time, and everyone have a blessed week.
And as Kendall says, you matter.
You matter.
Always. And you are enough. I know it's backwards because of selfie screen, but bam.
It's
I
not.
always got it
It's
by
not
me.
backwards.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's selfie on my end. What's up, guys? Y'all are enough. And every month is, but it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Every month's Mental Health Awareness Month. Be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Love y'all, guys.